Are you there, Shannon?
Yep.
Cool.
I'm recording this, so.
All right. I looked at your, on Eventbrite, I still can't log in like you said, so I just used your code to sneak in early.
Okay, great.
How's my hair?
Perfect.
Hey, Shannon, how many people did we have RSVP?
Rebecca, do you know that number offhand?
Yes, I believe it was 33.
Okay. It's a good number.
So it looks like Shannon will actually have to manually admit everybody from the waiting room. So do you want to wait until 10 a.m. to do that?
No, I
Or just
think
let them
if we let them in now, it'll give people a time to socialize a bit.
Okay, we'll go ahead and admit them right now, Rebecca.
Okay.
Hi, Ann. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Courtney. Courtney, listen, it turns out I have to play in a bridge tournament right now, so I'm going to be listening in, but I'll be playing bridge at the same time.
Okay, multitasking.
Yeah, okay.
Good to see you. Have fun. Hey, Jackie, Malcolm.
Hey, Courtney. Oh,
Courtney.
you're all dressed up.
I didn't know we were supposed to be formal.
Yeah, well, I dressed up for the other two people that are here at the university today.
And who was that?
I'm just joking, you know, there's not that many people, but our office is actually quite busy.
Yeah, I bet you're doing great things.
Yeah.
How is the saxophonia?
Potamus.
Saxopotamus. Yes. How's it doing?
Oh, they're doing great. I think we're trying to set them up another gig so they can share that again.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
Okay. Here's to you, Court.
You too, Malcolm. Good to see you. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
I'm muted. I'm well, thank you.
Great, great.
Good to see you all.
Yeah, Gary, were you able to tune in for the opera last week?
I was. I loved it.
Great,
It was
great.
just so beautifully done.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, the lighting, the graphic effects, as well as the staging, and I just thought it was grand. I would have loved to have been there in person, and I get my second injection tomorrow. And so after 2 weeks, then I'll still continue to mask and social distance, but I won't be afraid to go to moderate risk things. So I'll be coming to the regular audiences.
Yeah, I think, you know, our concert hall, we put, I forget how many exactly, but I think it was about 70, you know, in a hall for 800. We're doing it just as safely as we can possibly manage, right? I mean, nothing's completely safe, of course, but I felt pretty comfortable in there, masked and distanced from everyone. I see Richard. Richard was here, and Tim. Hi, Tim. Welcome. Tim was here too in person. Hey, Gary, how did the stream sound? I didn't experience the virtual opera. So
it was excellent. Excellent. No problems with the transmission.
Great.
And you know, with the 95% efficacy, I tell my friends every time I get on the freeway to go for instance, to my chiropractic, I wish I had 95% efficacy.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know,
I think I don't even want to know what the percentage is when you get on the Houston highways.
there you go.
I have to tell you, Courtney, the Cenerentola was a terrific production, and you get used to the masks right away. The sound, the singers' voices came through beautifully, and there's no question U of H is the best opera company in Houston.
Thank you, thank you. I have to agree with you. That's my job. But no, I absolutely agree with you.
No, Buck is a genius, and we love his productions.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew, Stopey is here.
Hey, how are you? We're getting all set up here. It's going to be fun.
Excellent. And Alan, see you there too. Hi, welcome.
I recognize everybody. This is great.
Pam and Steve, hey, how are you guys doing? They don't have their video on, probably still in pajamas, I bet.
Maybe we ought to make this a pajama party. Maybe we could do it, earlier and not have to worry about even getting dressed. We would have an excuse, right?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Could have the casual coffee. Yeah, I just happen to have, a bunch of other stuff going on today. I would be here in a tie, I guess.
Well, you look very handsome, so
Oh, thank you. Thank
carry
you.
on.
I have to say though, this day and age, it just feels kind of good to get dressed and go out of the house and come to the office. Like that sense of normalcy. I mean, the ritual of tying a necktie, it's something comforting, I have to say, at this time.
Courtney,
You know,
I just want to say, I did enjoy Cenerentola, but Trouble in Tahiti, in my mind, was just so amazing. Whatever you're paying Nicole, it's not enough. She was so creative in bringing that opera to us. And I always thought it was kind of a boring opera until I saw her production, and it was just marvelous. The whole look of it, I just really, really enjoyed it.
That's great. That's great. Hey, nobody tell her that comment about not paying Nicole enough. I understood though. She did a brilliant job. It was, we wouldn't have done that had it not been for the hard circumstances. That's a perfect example of, something marvelous that has come out of the worst circumstances we could imagine. So,
Yeah, making lemonade out of lemons.
exactly. Hi, Gay.
Can you see and hear us now?
Yeah. It's good to see you, Steve.
Okay. And Pam's behind me having her Chick-fil-A breakfast.
Oh, awesome. I'm sorry we couldn't be here in the Opera House lobby for coffee together and some snacks there. Hey, Andrew Davis, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Let me see if I can unmute. Hey, everyone, how are you?
I'm just going to give, a few more minutes. We can chat casually here while people are coming in. The Eventbrite, as you well know, is not the easiest one to navigate all those links and things. So just give folks a minute to figure that out.
I'm staring with great interest at Richard Cummins' virtual background. I'm pretty sure it looks like he's in Hong Kong.
That is the beautiful but now tragic city of Hong Kong. Yes.
Right.
Wow.
Courtney,
Yes, ma'am.
while we're waiting, I just want to say how much I enjoyed watching the opera this Sunday matinee. It was quite a production, and it looked like they were having a lot of fun.
Yeah, great. Thanks for watching. The students, I think every time I pass one in the hall and talk to them, they have such intense rehearsals building up to that. Of course, that's, part of the trade. And all of them were just so thankful and excited that it was happening,
I have a question though. I'm so worried about them being able to breathe in those masks, because that music was so, the breath that it took to put it out seems to be just enormous.
Yeah, yeah. They had special masks made for that. Well, of course they were custom to their costumes as well. But
Right.
they were set up to have the space that they needed. So they worked on that a bit. Those were handmade for that purpose. No one passed out, so I think we were okay. I wouldn't say it was easy though. I haven't talked to them, any of them afterward, you know. I'd love to hear from them, you know, about how difficult or easy it was with that. We'll get to chat with them soon. Hey, let me mute for a second. I think Alan and Ellen are trying to get in. I'll chat with them on the phone here for a second. Maybe Andrew, you could chat a bit with them.
Sure. I recognize so many people here. This is Andrew Stopey, professor of piano here. How is everyone? Dean Davis, it's been a while.
Hi, Andrew. I haven't seen you in a while. Tried to see you yesterday evening, but I just couldn't get over. Brian told me it was great and sent some video of the recording session.
Oh, we'll have some fun. We'll have some fun here demoing the instrument today, for sure. But it's really interesting in faculty meetings here, Courtney will often say, so Andrew did this or that. And I always go, not me, not me. Because it's the same.
Well, maybe you should introduce our friend Brian Elmore to the group. Andrew, sitting next to Andrew, is a great friend and supporter of ours.
Yeah.
I'm Brian. I have a face, but I'm behind this one today. Good to be here again with many of you that I recognize your faces and to be on campus. I can't tell you what a joy it is to be on campus.
That's super nice, yeah.
And Brian represents the Steinway dealership that we work with, and they've been a partner of ours for a good, Brian, 6 or 7 years now, a close partner of ours. That's where we get all our pianos, and they've been a partner on many other kind of more expansive initiatives as well. So great to have you, Brian.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, and this initiative that we're talking about is going to blow your minds today.
Right. Right. You get to hear a little bit about the partnership here, a little bit more about the partnership today, I think.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Are we waiting for other people?
It sure is great to see you all. I just got here.
Good to see you, Susan. Haven't seen you in a long time.
I know. That's the reason I wanted to tune in and hear what you're doing. It's good to see Tim Doyle. Wow, it's been a long time. Yeah, you're muted, but whatever.
And Steve and Mary Glenn, thanks for being here. Good to see you. The Glens, we usually have our annual meeting in San Antonio right about now. They usually go to the Texas Music Educators Association convention, and we have a big alumni reception. Of course, they're doing everything virtual this year, so we don't get to go to San Antonio. Get our margaritas on the Riverwalk. We'll postpone that for next time, I guess. Well, hey, we'll go ahead and jump in today and get our conversation officially started. Thanks for making this part of your day. Another Zoom meeting. It's great to see you all. We had a really, really nice More Society board meeting. Hey, Alan, you made it. Welcome. A really nice More Society board meeting. We just had so many, I think, positive and exciting things to announce that were coming up. And we were talking about the upcoming opera. Hope a lot of you got to see it. It sounded like most everyone was there, either virtually or in person. So it was a really great show. And if you were here in the fall, you know, we've been doing this Coffee with Courtney meeting once a semester at the beginning of each fall and spring semester. And at the beginning of the fall, we had a presentation, an introduction by Hector Vasquez and Cynthia Clayton about how they were adapting for voice lessons with the difficult circumstances. And Hector and Cindy kind of walked us through a lot of the technology. They were using some software called Clean Feed and other various devices to try to get their remote connections to work as quickly as possible, right? The least amount of delay through this virtual experience so that they could work with their students. And Hector Vasquez, you know, he's the tech of that dynamic duo, but Cindy's right on board as well. He had managed to do so much with actually so very little. Down to, you know, I was observing a lesson. I think we got to see some video there of, you know, they had a connection that was, I think, about 16 milliseconds delay, which is really phenomenal for analog to digital conversion of audio and, you know, at a distance. Amazing. And I wanted to follow up on that theme of how are we making this work? And actually, how are we sort of innovating at a time when it's harder to do so than ever? But it's pushed us to be as creative and as innovative as possible. And so we looked at that experience in the fall. And I think today this is a perfect follow-up, because we got amazingly about, how long ago was it, Brian? About 2 months ago, right before the Christmas break, we loaded into the door this new piano that Steinway has released. You might have heard of the Spirio piano. Well, they keep coming out with new iterations of that piano that are doing more and more amazing things. And the latest iteration that we wanted as soon as possible was the Steinway Spirio R, or the one that can record, a pianist can sit and record. I'm not going to talk about it much because Andrew Stopey's here and he'll give us a presentation today on what it can do. But we were so happy to get that in the door, because if there's ever a time we need this type of technology, it's right now. We knew we wanted it before, and we knew we could do special things with it before, but this gave us the perfect rationale for that. And so we were able to get one on loan from Steinway, and I'll tell you more about our efforts to keep it and to expand that inventory later. But really, today, I just want you to see what it can do. You all are, you know, the cutting edge of what's going on in classical music and music conservatories. You should know about this instrument too. Maybe you've seen it in action, but I think also like hear about what potential it has. I mean, it's a tool we have now, but it's such a new tool that most music conservatory faculty either don't know it exists yet, or haven't figured out how to adapt the technology in really practical and meaningful ways for creative endeavors and, you know, for instruction as well. I think we've got the minds here at Moores. We, of course, are the #1 ranked school of music in 2021. So who else is going to do it but us? So all of that, I don't want to sound like too much of a salesman, because Brian Elmore is the salesman, and he's going to sound like that most of today, I bet. Sorry, Brian, just kidding. But I think I'm just so excited about it. So I think you can hear that. And I'm kind of a technology geek anyway. So this kind of stuff really gets me going. So Andrew Stopey is here. I hope all of you know Andrew Stopey. He's been here for, this is his second year as assistant professor in piano. You hear him play. He's got the soul of a true artist, but he's also a creative thinker, young, energetic, with brand new ideas, the whole package. So Andrew, unmute. I'll let you talk. I'll stop here for a second.
Thank you, Courtney, and welcome everybody. It's so nice to see all of you virtually. Each year I'm here, I get to know all of you more and more, and it's very fun. I am super excited today. You know, as a professional musician, sometimes when we're used to concerts, it's like our thing, but I'm genuinely thrilled to show you what we're about to do today. It's really, really cutting edge, and it has the potential to change how we make music forever. It's really awesome. You know, I'm a concert pianist, so I travel all over the world, but I'm also a professor here, so I have kind of a dual way of thinking. And so both, when we talk about the Steinway Spirio, I'm going to talk about both what faculty and performing artists can do, but also how we can revolutionize teaching in the classroom and one-on-one lessons. And this is my good friend Brian Elmore from Steinway, and I think maybe we should just show them the Michael K demo. So I'm going to share screen here, and I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer, just so you can see the screen here. Oh wait, no, we don't want that. No, we don't want. Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, let's go over here. So everyone pay attention to both the piano that has no one sitting at it and the video screen here. Yeah. Watch this. Hello, I'm Michael K, and I'm coming to you almost live from Steinway Hall in New York City. If you're watching this video, that means you're testing the exciting new product SpirioCast. This test should allow you to ensure that your location is set up to both send and receive SpirioCast broadcasts. You should be seeing and hearing me clearly right now, and when I begin to play, your Spirio should play in sync with the video of my performance.
So let's test that now.
So the first time I saw this,
You're able to get a clear and small taste of.
the first time I saw this technology, it blew my mind. I first encountered it about a decade ago. I was in a piano competition, and my New York debut was in Los Angeles, and I recorded on a piano in a preliminary round in Los Angeles, and a few months later, I walked on stage in New York and played the entire recital. And it was incredible because when they tested the recording capability, as I was leaving, I had an out-of-body freak out experience because, you know, as a pianist, you hear yourself as you're doing your art form. But I was standing outside the room and I heard myself. And I've never had that experience before. But now with this technology, we can have it all the time. So obviously, as you could see, our friend Michael was in New York in Steinway Hall playing, and at the exact same time, our piano here in the office in Houston was playing. It's just incredible. Now, before we talk about all the different applications of what this can do, specifically for teaching, I also just want to kind of show you some more things that we did. So Bing, yesterday, I had the great pleasure of recording a part of the Rachmaninoff Cello Sonata with a DMA cellist here, Bing Wei. And we recorded yesterday, but we're going to show you how you can collaborate with people all over the world and at different times. This is a time-shifted performance. So Bing, the floor, this is Bing. Excellent cellist. So take a look. I will move the computer a little bit over so you can see the keys. Go for it. That's me, but this is also me. Bravo, Big. So this is not only crazy because I'm hearing myself play at the same time, and we recorded it together yesterday, but we're going to take this one step further. So Bing told me that she can play piano as well. So obviously this technology is really useful, incredibly useful for pianists and piano majors, but it can be useful for all students. So for example, a lot of orchestral players, they need to practice excerpts. So if you don't have an accompanist at that time and you have this technology, Bing recorded an excerpt of Dvorak New World. So She's now accompanying herself. Pretty amazing. Thank you, Bing. Thank you. So already, I wanted to show you what it could do before we talk about some of the other things that the Steinway Spirio can do. First of all, is anyone hearing this type of stuff for the first time? What is your reaction? I'm curious to know. Speak, unmute yourself, yeah, if you want. What is that like?
Andrew, is this the piano that you played 2 years ago down in Steinway Hall when you were giving that introductory recital to the Morris Society?
Yeah. This is the one? Yes, this is it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank
you.
you.
Anybody else? I'm still like, we recorded it yesterday, and I know about this technology, and I've been studying it. It's still absolutely mind blowing. I can't like, it's if you were an actor and suddenly you saw yourself as an actual person talking to yourself. That's what I experienced as a concert pianist. And I heard I would know that was me when I did the Rachmaninoff out of 100 people. So now what I wanted to do, and Brian.
Andrew, one question. I saw the demo also that down at the Steinway store.
Yeah.
What is different in this new model than what we saw then?
The technology just continues the layout of what we are developing in the next phase of Spirio called Spirio Cast. We couldn't show that to you at the hall when you were there that night, but basically we told you about it, that simultaneously in Shanghai, in New York, in Beijing, in Paris, Hamburg, the moment you depress a key without lag, maybe a millisecond difference, it just plays the exact same time. So you're able to hear live concerts. Our students are able to receive master classes. We're able to broadcast from here throughout the entire world. And one of the things I talked to Bing about yesterday was that she will be, our big thrust right now because of COVID is distance education. And the model is that we would take Spirios to underserved areas that do not have instruments to be able to teach vocal, instrumental, piano, et cetera, all of the above from one location. And I told Bing that she, especially in orchestral instruments, stringed instruments, you can't find instructors, but she will be able to teach from the University of Houston in these underserved areas. And it provides an income revenue for her, as well as the opportunity to ultimately recruit students to the University of Houston. And I just wanted to say in 15 seconds, I sent her video to President Losby yesterday at Steinway. And I sent this with the following caption. I said, live from the University of Houston. And I said, celebrating the Steinway Spirio at the University of Houston. Here's to the piano, which remembers our emotion, and the students that make us emotional. As I sat here and recorded her yesterday, tears were flowing down my face.
That's
because
true.
it was, I watched her from the moment that it was recorded. We went through 2 or 3 until she found just the right expression, just the right volume. And then she was able to practice with Andrew not having to be there every single time. Yep. And then the performance was exactly the way she wanted it. What a remarkable tool. And so that's an answer to your question. It's the same instrument. We've just developed it now. We're in beta testing with University of Houston. Steinway is partnering with University of Houston. And that I have a Spirio in my living room, so we're going to be able to do instructional videos from my living room with the students, and this takes away from their time that I can work one-on-one with students. So those are things I couldn't show you that night that we met at Steinway Hall. So thank you for remembering that night.
Great.
Thank you for the explanation. That was great.
So what I want to do,
Andrew,
May I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Just real quick, but for distance teaching, you have to have another Spirio at the distant location, right?
Yes, ma'am. We're starting that model right now, and it's in setting up this scenario. These communities have no piano teachers. They don't have teachers, period. So you have to have a Spirio on both ends. The university would actually own the instruments on both ends, and if they continue with the program, then that's provided for them so that they can have an instrument at a church or at a school that they can do their piano instruction, vocal instruction, dance instruction, and orchestral and band. But the instructor is from here at University of Houston. So the model is set up that that instrument is provided for them. They have to maintain the instrument. They have to maintain the environment for the instrument to keep it at a high standard, but the instrument is provided. That's the model. It doesn't have to be that particular model, but that's what we're engaging in right now with the distance model of education.
And Susan, I would jump in, by the way. I think that question's really good because actually, Brian and I were just talking about this 2 hours ago. I wanted an inventory of which schools, ISDs, and universities in Texas already have those instruments, because those we can work with today, and then we can work on the next level later. So that was one of the most important questions. What can we do right now? And I think Andrew will talk some more about that, but we're ready to connect and work together with peer institutions and, high schools, elementary schools, now that we've got this in the door.
Right, and what I wanted to do is just kind of talk about a few of the key things that I can think of as both a concert pianist and as a professor, instant things that we can do to transform teaching and a global reach. Obviously, there are 2 million things that are possible with this new innovation, but just some of the things. So one of the big things as a performer, as a pianist, and this would apply to both students and faculty, is balance and projection in a hall. If you play as a solo pianist in the Moores Opera House, you have to actually fundamentally play differently, because if you're talking in a big hall, you have to speak louder. It's the same thing as a pianist. So students need to learn, young artists need to learn how to do this, and it's very difficult. Just hearing a teacher say, play louder here or there. What this technology can do is you can record an entire recital and then sit with your faculty mentor in the back of the hall, press play, and in real time, they can hear themselves out in the hall. And so you can go, oh yes, I need to do this. So it can fundamentally change and accelerate the learning phase of becoming a performer. Furthermore, as a concert pianist, playing with an orchestra, this is what I do all the time. And playing with an orchestra is like shouting over a bunch of people. You have to really, as a pianist, you have to learn how to do this because you're competing against 100 instruments. Well, this technology can allow me to record an entire concerto with an orchestra. They can press play. I can go sit out in the hall and I can tell the conductor in real time, oh, I can't hear myself here. Could you bring down? So the quality of performances can be astoundingly improved in this way. So that's just one of the things that I think about. Now, another thing that you just saw with our recordings of the Rachmaninoff cello sonata and with Bing doing the Dvorak is we can create an audio library, kind of like IMSLP online or music libraries. What I envision in the future is let's say you have a freshman string quartet that wants to play a piano quintet for the first time and they don't have a pianist. Well, what if our collaborative artists here at U of H record every piano part of every quintet? So all they do is press play and they can hear in real time with a piano part. They can work through the quintet. I mean, that is an enormous advantage for developing artists, so that they could have a gigantic library, or for my colleague Todd Van Kekricks in piano pedagogy. If they record all of the Royal Conservatory of Music books for students, they have an instant library there. So this is another thing, creating a giant cloud of data for our faculty and for students. I think another thing that Courtney and I have talked about that I'm really interested in is fundamentally improving and changing the art of interpretation. Now, if you think about it, the history of Western music has been composer writes notation, the notation is incomplete, and you have people that devote their lives to music that know how to read the notes and figure out what it actually means at a deeper level. And of course, for students, you want a teacher that can do that. But if you're a composer, you can get an exact duplicate of what you want, because you record a piano piece and you tell the student, well, when I say rubato, this is what I mean, and it plays, and you can hear rather than guess. So this type of thing can actually change how we learn music. It's not, and I think that to me is the most far-reaching, profound implication of learning our art form in a different way. And you know, for composers, composers with having finale and MIDI, it's great to hear playback, electronic playback of a symphony or a piano piece. But with this, they can write an entire piano composition and hear it live on an instrument, an acoustic instrument. And you have the ability to edit things, change volume, change timings. So the quality of the final product, both performance and composition, is not only better, but it's also faster. So these are just some of the things. I don't know if you want to jump in. I have a million things, and I'm going to catalog all of them. But I think you can tell from my voice that I recognize that this is changing our field, and we have the instrument right here to do that. So Brian, do you have anything?
One of our other universities is using Spirio in their lab. That when Spirio, they lay the basic track down on Spirio, and then they have musical instrument digital interface called MIDI. And those electronic instruments are playing as the Spirio is playing. Those files, they're coming in with Hammond B3 sounds with strings, et cetera. And they mix those two together into another mixer that puts together a 16-track recording, but Spirio is at the base of that. So what I'm saying is the technology is not just related just to the acoustic instrument. It's related to other digital instruments to create that opportunity for those students to expand and learn in ways that they're already there. We're just pulling things out of them that before we didn't have possible because the acoustic instrument was analog. And now we've taken that to a next step. It's still a Steinway. Nothing has changed about the instrument, but we have added this so that when we're recording high definition, and that records at 1,024 times per second, creating an emotional experience for artists. So that, we're going 1,000 miles an hour here. You're going to have to get this and rewind it because there's so much that we're throwing at you. Yeah. But it's truly Houston is University of Houston is on the cutting edge of this in a way that I want to bring that excitement level to you, because at every level, from Dean Davis to Courtney to Andrew to all of the faculty, they're on board with this. And now we've got the students chomping at the bits. All we've got to have is 20 more. So if you've got a couple of million laying around that you could help get this done, it would be helpful you to write the check. Thank you.
Hey, Brian, Andrew, I'll just open up the conversation a little bit. Susan, I see your text message there. I think that's a really good point there. She's talking about, I'm not sure what the name of that is. Look at her chat, Brian, you might know. But there were these roll pianos and these player pianos that were around, you know, even toward the end of the 19th century, and people could play those piano rolls. And this is a lot like that in a way, except it's infinitely more accurate in reproduction and infinitely more usable, I think.
No, you're absolutely right. That was, the first time I heard Rachmaninoff play his own music, I thought it would be hissy, you know, because from the 1930s, but it was actually crystal clear. And I was going, what? And the piano roll was an old thing. I will tell you though, hearing the same piece of Rachmaninoff on an actual audio recording versus the original piano roll, they're very different. I mean, similar, you can tell, but there's clearly a difference. However, I will say this, the piano is so great that if you put 100 pianists playing that Rachmaninoff excerpt, I would be able to instantly tell, based on that playback, that was me, unquestionably. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how weird it is to hear myself in real time as a third person. So it's infinitely better. But what I want to do before we ask some questions is kind of talk about, at least from my perspective, the vision, like what I see at U of H, because we have one here. This technology among piano faculty around the world is becoming the thing. People are talking, there's buzz all around the world. And I just see, because of the enormous implications, not only during COVID with remote education, but post-COVID, that the best students around the world will want to go to places that have these instruments. You know, we're ranked #1, which is amazing, but I see in the future, 5, 10, 20 years, that the best piano students will want to go to a Spirio-enabled school. You know, I don't know how many decades ago, the all Steinway thing that went around the country, where every university wanted to get on board with all Steinway because it's a sign of excellence. This is the new thing, and we already have one here. And so in the future, because of the amazing implications, what I can see is my colleague Todd having a Spirio to teach in the classroom, pedagogy, having a Model D Spirio in the Opera House or in Dudley Recital Hall to where not only we can play and record, but have the greatest concert pianists in real time play from their homes in Tokyo or in Berlin for our students. And for recruiting, that's a huge deal. Having a piano specifically for recruiting, taking lessons. So students, if they can't spend thousands of dollars to fly to have a lesson a few months beforehand, they can have a lesson like that. So our global reach with these instruments will change the university. And, you know, like, I always think about this, but everyone remembers the name of the first person that walked on the moon. I can't remember the name of the 7th. And right now, U of H with this instrument, and if we get other ones, we will be that institution that all other peer universities will look to. So we have that opportunity. So I'm absolutely excited, and I'm devoting a lot of time, in addition to my own concerts and teaching, to mastering this technology. And by the end of the semester, I want every student here to have recorded stuff on it. But that's basically what I wanted to talk about. So if there's other questions you have.
That's awesome, Andrew. I think, you know, you're hearing Andrew's excitement about it. When I told the faculty we had one of these in the building, I was trying to draw a comparison to other historical moments of development for the keyboard. So you all know these, and you know it through the repertoire. I think piano repertoire, well, I'm a pianist, so I'm biased here, but, you know, piano repertoires need to look at from a historical perspective, because you see the repertoire develop with the technology. I mean, that's true of most art and many other things. It develops with the technology. Our culture shifts with the technology. But I think, you know, there's some moments in piano history and keyboard history that changed the music. You know, why does the music of J.S. Bach sound like Bach? It's because the instruments he was writing for worked really well for that. You know, you have the development, you know, there's a famous story of Haydn traveling to London and playing a piano, right? The Broadwood piano that didn't exist yet. And he went to London and came back and immediately changed his music. There's this famous, you know, moment in the repertoire in his sonata where you see this long pedal mark because they just didn't have it before. And of course, as pianists, we love to debate, you know, how we should pedal that point now because the instruments changed again. So, you know, you go to the 19th century and you had Erard invent, you know, change the action of the piano to include this double escapement, we call it, which allowed for rapid repeating notes, which allowed people like Liszt just to go crazy with it and write some of the hardest things we have to play, right, Andrew?
Right.
And that was a reaction to the technology, an adaptation to the technology. And I don't, you know, when I announced this to the faculty, I said, I don't think we've had such a significant development to keyboard technology that's readily accessible, ready for us to use, and is usable since the mid 19th century. Right. So I think this is a pivotal moment. And like Andrew says, you know, I'm happy we're on the cutting edge and exploring it because, you know, in 100 years, we'll be talking about Andrew Stoppe instead of Franz Liszt with Spirio, right?
Well, but Courtney, you bring up a really interesting point. Brian and I were talking with Steinway representatives in New York yesterday, and the topic came up. It's kind of interesting that Steinway, which as an institution has been revered as home, you know, like homemade, built from hand, built from scratch, authenticity, and you know that's an amazing thing. And the guy in New York said it's kind of interesting that we're now talking about clouds and technology. And I said, well, yes and no, because yes, the hand-built thing is still continuing. However, Steinway, since they started making pianos, they were at the cutting edge. They put the iron cast inside the piano that made it stronger. So I told them, I said, I'm not surprised at all that they're at the cutting edge of the 21st century. So this is no surprise to me.
I went back in my notes, since you said that, Courtney, I hope you can see this on screen. This is a slide of 1877. And we were talking about how far does this technology go back? And now I have to turn this around to read my notes, but it said the first public transmission of music by wire, which was called teleharmonium, which was from Philadelphia to Steinway Hall. This was the first time that they could actually hear a live broadcast. So if you consider this technology goes back to 1877, and now we're able to hear live broadcast with the actual piano playing, it's part of that evolution that Steinway has been an innovator in that technology from the beginning. We just happen to have an owner right now that said, build this without budget. And he did not do this for the return on investment. He did this for the return on artistry. Yeah. And so I'm glad I was able to pull that up, Courtney, because we have that date locked in. There was a technology in 1877 that was the first public transmission. And Steinway has contracted with the Boston Pops and with the New York Phil of taking Steinway artists like Horowitz and doing an entire symphony around them, that you'll be able to see Horowitz on the screen playing himself with the symphony playing. That way, we're able to go back in time and capture the heart of artists that go back, and that we're still able to bring it forward with Spirio. So that's a thank you for bringing that up, Courtney, because I was reminded of that when you said that. Thank you.
I think what's interesting about this tool as well, like it being new and innovative, we have had like other new and innovative approaches to like keyboard technology. Like Andrew, you've probably seen some of these, and maybe some of you have too. Like if you go on YouTube and just search like alternative keyboard layout or piano keyboard layouts, you'll see all these really interesting designs. There's one that has, I don't know if you've seen this one, Andrew, but it's 2 keyboards, and it allows you to play with all of your long fingers up there and your shorter fingers down here. Arguably, you could probably play better and faster, but it didn't catch on. And a lot of times things like that don't catch on. Like, you know, the alternative to the QWERTY keyboard at your computer didn't catch on. And I think a lot of those good ideas that could change the world in meaningful ways, I think a lot of times they don't catch on. Either the learning curve is too steep, the interface is not intuitive. You know, maybe you just can't learn it that way. Your brain's not adapting to it as well. So I have to say, I am hypercritical of new technology for new technology's sake, right? It can't just be, hey, we're going to be the early adopters and jump on board with things. And I think, I don't know how many years ago it was, Brian, when they were first, you know, I think it was Spirio was coming out, but Andrew and I were up there at the factory, and, you know, I was seeing it work and going up into the rooms where they were building the things and saying, hey, I think this could change things because it's so simple to use and it's of such a level of quality. Because just because it can do new things, or maybe even do better things, does not mean that it's going to be a practical tool or is going to push the art forward. So I think, you know, we've been looking at this and thinking through that too, because you know, you have to evaluate these things from multiple approaches before you say, hey, this is the tool we want to start really working with.
Right. And I think, you know, I put my mind inside a 17-year-old prospective student that wants to be a concert pianist. And imagine if they come to University of Houston and they go on stage, they have a master class with Langman or Martha Argerich, and then they do a duet at the same time. I mean, how much of a profound experience would that be if you had a duet? I would want to do a duet with Martha Argerich. You know, in this technology, if she's in Paris, we can play it at the same time. And I think that the applications for this technology, it's not just the cool parlor trick that we're doing. It is cool. Like we heard Art Tatum, who's one of my favorite jazz pianists of all time. I heard him live in this room, and it blew my mind. But that stuff is great, but for teaching and for far-reaching implications, I think that 30 years from now, every university is going to want and is going to have these. Yeah, for sure.
Courtney, I know you know this fact, but it was presented to me in a very sobering way. We've had a 19% decline in piano performance majors over the past 20 years. Playing the piano is hard. And that, while we've seen that much of an increase in China, we've seen a decrease here. What we're seeing with Spirio is it makes learning fun. And I think that students are going to be attracted to institutions that can not only enhance their abilities, but this gives them a marketing tool for their talent to be able to teach Spirio in their own living room. They can teach piano lessons anytime somebody wants a lesson. COVID has forced us. Now, mind you, our sales last year for the home were at record level. COVID didn't hurt our business. But think about the students who will have that a part of their portfolio, not only as a performer, but as a teacher, to be able to use that to teach in living rooms anywhere in the world who has PayPal. I know we're rabbit trailing a bit right here, but I'm always thinking about what it means to the students, what it means for student retention, what it means for student attraction, faculty retention, and to put University of Houston on the forefront of this national crisis that we have, that it's just moving in a direction that we want to see change. So I thought I would, Courtney, I know you know those statistics, but to our dear friends in the Moore School, Moore Society, they need to understand what that national situation is, and it's in crisis.
Yeah, if anyone wants to jump into the conversation here, just wave and unmute. I'm excited to hear people's thoughts. I'm excited too, Brian, like just the creative possibilities. At a research institution, we're looking for innovation in our art form as well. And, the Spirio is connected. It's got this beautiful acoustic sound. Everyone loves this special sound of the tone of the Steinway, but it's also like we were talking, Andrew was mentioning, it's got this digital output, and there's so many creative things we can do that we've just never seen before. Andrew, I've got so much, Stopy, I've got so much to catch you up on conversations I've had even with different faculty. We have a faculty in the School of Art. His name's John Reed. I don't know if anyone knows John. I know Andrew Davis does, of course, but John works with a set of software called Max MSP. Not sure if anyone knows that, but it's a language that communicates with MIDI signals. And there's possibilities there to do things with the piano we have never seen before. So imagine this, connecting that piano with programming software that connects the Spirio piano to perhaps environmental effects. So the piano piece is actually controlling the lighting on the stage, or the smoke machine in the loft, or whatever you can imagine. Whatever can connect to a digital signal, go high and low or on and off, we can control it with the piano. Well, what does that change about what we write for the piano? I might not just want an A flat major chord. That's a certain color in my mind, and I want this over here to reflect that. There's just a limitless number of possibilities of integrating like that. A sneak peek at some other conversations I'm having. This is not pie in the sky either. We're looking at putting this into place maybe for the beginning of next fall semester, but we're going to install Dante equipment and protocol in the School of Music that will allow us to connect to different rooms in the school and set up some recording possibilities. That Dante protocol, what it does is it sets up a network for nearly instantaneous audio sharing. So if Andrew and I were playing in two different rooms, we could play live together through analog audio, which is converted to digital, and their delay is at less than a millisecond. It's practically instantaneous. But that connected, so we start thinking, well, we've got a pandemic here, or maybe Andrew Stopey's in China, but he needed to play this Mozart concerto with the Moore's orchestra, so actually connecting them, sharing Spirio special data that's playing live on the acoustic piano, but also piping in analog audio. So I'm just saying this because I think the sky's the limit. And if I would have been talking about this 5 years ago, it would have seemed, the distant future, like the Jetsons, like seeing flying cars kind of thing. But, this is like happening now. It's no delay here. We're starting to use it. So exciting stuff.
I think for me as a faculty member who is looking to recruiting, like obviously recruiting the best students is at a priority for everyone. And I will say this from my own experience. I mean, I haven't been a professor for 30 years, but I was a prospective student too. And meeting your prospective teacher, hearing them, talking with them, it changes things. Like I applied to certain universities because I heard from someone it was good. And I didn't go there. When I met the artists, when I heard them play, that's why I went to this university. And so this capability where if you can actually work with the students around the world and meet them on a video screen, hear them play, they can hear you play, you can work together. That instant rapport, that is often the difference between why they choose to go here versus another place. I mean, I know from in the past couple of years, students that I met via FaceTime, where we actually worked together, they came to the university, and that alone is worth investing, because I mean, we can retain and recruit the best students with that technology. And I think that to me is profound as far as our global reach.
Absolutely. Hey, and oh, go ahead, Susan. I see your hand.
I realize I don't understand if the one here on campus is the master, you know, is there one that's always above the other one in rank? And part of the reason I'm asking that is I'm wondering if you're trying to develop, or if there's being developed a machine that is less perfect for off-site use, so it doesn't have to go into a big expensive institution. It can go to a proverbial village somewhere. But is there always, you know, an upper and a lower level?
I hear you, Susan. And that's actually something I've talked to Brian about. And I think we're trying to sell that idea to Steinway that, you know, if we can connect these instruments to maybe a cheaper digital keyboard, we could reach, you know, a much larger part of the population. Brian, is there any talk about that kind of thing?
There is discussion on all levels, because one of the things that we sent to our engineers, let's say we have a Steinway at University of Houston, and we've got 20 different towns out here that only have 2 or 3 students, okay? We would have the ability through working with our own digital keyboard to see and teach 3 or 4 students at a time in the communities that only have just a few students, but they're still underserved and they deserve to have this. So the answer is yes, those conversations are ongoing. I don't think anybody realized that when we did this, and Courtney, when you and I and Andrew, when we went to New York, we were talking about maybe 10 to 15% of our production would be Spirio. Right now, we're at about 75% of our production is Spirio. So it has gone from that home model now to the institutional side, which is even today, we're talking with Tim Hester with our engineers in New York. He was presenting ideas of how this can be done. So to answer your question directly, it's always in conversation, because I think the objective of our owner is to promote artistry. There's no other instrument that preserves that artistry, replace the articulation the way Steinway does. So in that, you called it the mothership, if you will. I'll use that term. I think it would be a Steinway. I don't think it's far-fetched to see in the future that we would see that. The engineers are working 24/7 right now on getting this broadcast capabilities around the world, and that's their total focus for this year. And then developing other curriculum software within the institution will be the focus for the next year. So we're probably talking 3 or 4 years down the road before we see that come even into serious production time. But it's about the student, it's about the student, and it's about the performer. And then on the other side, going back to what you said, we want to preserve artistry, not only of Horowitz and Glenn Gould and others that we can go back and recapture their 1930s performances. I mean, I saw Gershwin in here from a 1929 performance that our musicologists were able to transform that into Spirio. and I'm rabbit trailing from your question. I apologize. I get so excited and I'm so ADD that this is a popcorn moment for me. But thank you for your question, and I hope I answered your question.
Hey, just to jump in, I see Tim's question here. If you could record something and compare it to a standard recording so that it could show you where your problem areas are. And I think I've played with the software enough, Tim. I don't think you can layer on your own performance onto others, but you can see your performance in several ways visualized, especially on a piano roll. That's a really neat feature, but I think the thing you're asking about is not that far away in the software development. And hey, Tim, you should just come play with this thing, set you up and you can play around with the iPad so you can see what you can do. I found it as soon as I recorded myself and started looking at it, at what I was doing, I just made all kinds of interesting discoveries, especially when it came to, how I'm timing things or voicing chords or things like that. If some of you don't know, Tim Doyle is a real pianist in his own right, so he should come check this out. Hey, before we run out of time here, I want to respect everybody's time. It's coming up on 11 o'clock. I wanted to say, especially since Andrew Davis is here, Dean of the college, we had borrowed this piano from Steinway. I said, Brian, I've got to get this thing in the door so we can start experimenting with it and be on the cutting edge here. And we needed it even for, that basic feature of our accompanist doing recordings so our vocalist could come in and practice with them. We couldn't have them in the same room with the singers singing without masks on, so we needed it. And I said, hey, can we just get one in the door and let's start working with it? And my idea was if I could get it in the door, then I could get it paid for. And part of this piano, most of this piano, we're like 75% of our way to the goal here, that this piano is staying here. And that's thanks to Andrew Davis and the college here. Thank you very much, Andrew, for your help, because he was able to collaborate with us and come up with some research support dollars. So we're nearly there. These pianos are not cheap, right? If any of you have priced at your local Steinway dealership. Sorry, Brian, you guys are an expensive crowd to hang out with, but we love it, of course. So we're trying to, and I'll just make this plea and you can tell your friends, please, but we're trying to raise $40,000 to keep that one here. And obviously we want to look ahead to, building our inventory of these. So this is short term. So Jackie and Malcolm, as presidents of the Morris Society, maybe we can collaborate and build some enthusiasm. And I'll work with them and we'll just be in communication, but keep that in mind, everyone. But I just want to say thanks to Andrew Davis for the help with this too, because he's been there ready to support as well.
Hey, Courtney, thanks a lot. I was going to chime in here before, but the discussion was going so well, I didn't do it. I'll just point out that when Courtney mentioned why the product is so good, part of that is due to Steinway's willingness to collaborate with the higher education community in research and development. And Courtney mentioned us visiting the R&D offices of Steinway in New York a few years ago. Was that like, Courtney, probably 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago at this point. And Courtney had actually, after that visit, become a collaborator or a consultant. Actually, Courtney has consulted with Steinway on development of the product. So we've had a first-hand role in it. And I'd like to think that's one of the reasons that the product is so good in the way that Courtney and Andrew have been describing. So I'm happy to support it. I'm really excited about what it's doing for the school. And Andrew, thanks for all of your efforts here and your commitment to it. And Courtney, thanks for really getting this off the ground. I'm so happy to support it. And I'm glad to see everyone here to learn about the initiative. So thanks so much.
Awesome. Hey, are there any last minute comments, questions before we wrap up? Got Brian and Andrew here. I was thinking, of kind of the off the wall applications I see my friend Tobin Wright. Tobin, how are you doing? A lot of you might not know Tobin. He's a new member of the Morris Society this year. And Tobin and I were actually in school together. Tobin is a pianist extraordinaire, actually, and studied at LSU while I was there. I was always in awe of watching him. He was a master's student while I was an undergrad, and just happened we found each other back here in Houston. And Tobin has gone into real estate and has stylized himself as the Piano Man Realtor. So he's playing piano at his open houses, which is really fun. You want to say hi, Tobin?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. This has been fun to watch this. Of course, as Steinways are always pleasure to be around and play. And I, honestly don't know a lot about the Spirio. I've heard of them. So it's really cool to see this technology and being implemented into the schools. I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, well, I think what we do is, Tobin, when you've got an open house at, multi-million-dollar place with a Spirio there, we can have some of our students performing for your events.
Absolutely. My broker keeps bothering me about doing a big event. They really want to do something with me. So
Cool. All right. Well, let's keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
And I didn't mention this at the beginning, but I did want to say thanks to Jackie and Malcolm, Mezzo, as our conversations have been ongoing with thinking about the direction of the Moore Society. We have been really, really deep in conversations over this last year about everything we're doing. And so thank you two as well for being here and helping us along the way. So.
Well, Courtney, I just want to say thank you to you and certainly to the Steinway folks for this exciting program today. I can't wait to get out there and beat the bushes. $40,000 is a lot, but I think we can do it. At any rate, thank you guys so much. And we just look forward to hearing more exciting news and things about what's happening at the Moore School.
And
Thank
certainly
you.
I agree.
Excellent. Good to see you all. Hey, thank you for making this part of your day. Like I said before, I know Zoom meetings can be tough, but it's so nice to see your faces. So stay in touch. We'll see you at the next event at Moore's or online. Enjoy this gorgeous weather. Oh, wait a second. It just got cloudy a little bit outside. Enjoy the rest of your week and weekend. See you all later.